Okay, fingers crossed. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Okay, so there was a slight worry at the start right there, slight hitch because I was wondering whether or not I'd have to worry about resetting resetting the game and doing a system update. But it looks like we're in good shape. So, what's good, neighborhood? And welcome to episode. I think this would be 25. Yeah, episode 25 of Warframe Wednesday. This week is the impending arrival of the Deadlock Protocol and the new Warframe Protea for the PC. We won't be getting it on PS4 yet. It's going to be another couple weeks, I'm sure, because of certification. But that's not the Warframe we're going to be worrying about today. Today,
Ordis has been counting stars, operator. All accounted for.
today it's all about Equinox. Now, Equinox is, again, yet another Warframe where I wound up getting the Prime variant before even considering getting the original. And I will tell you exactly why. Like, I would say out of every single Warframe on the roster, if you don't have the Prime parts or if you don't have any Platinum to buy this Warframe is going to be the most difficult and the most,
Excellent.
well, not the most difficult, but definitely the most time consuming
Safe and
to get. So let's cover acquisition really fast. You want to pick up Equinox? Then you are going to have to go to. No, not Neptune, not Neptune. I'm sorry.
Die, lizard, leech, bloody worm!
You'll have to go to the Titania node on Uranus and deal with the boss fight there with Tyl Regor. Now, here's the thing. You can buy the main blueprint for Equinox from, from the in-game market. But since this Warframe technically counts, since this Warframe is a 2-in-1, what you would literally have to do is find and build the Neuroptics, the chassis, the systems, and then the full frame component for both its day and night sides. You will literally need two warframes worth of components and blueprints. And then once you've got both the day and night aspects built, then you have to combine them together. So let's see if we're adding up the time it takes for each of the blueprints to complete, like for each of the components to complete, and then both the day aspect, the night aspect, and the full Warframe. So let's see. That's 3, 6. That's 3 days for that. 3 days for that. 3 days for that. So that's 9. And then, yeah, you're looking at up to 15 days worth of real time hours in order to build this Warframe. If you're just getting into this game and you want to pick up Equinox, just I would highly suggest getting the Prime variant and saving yourself the trouble. But with that being said, Equinox Prime is still Equinox is still a very, very good Warframe and an interesting Warframe to use. So with that little prologue out of the way, we're going to jump over to the training simulation, and I'll show you exactly what this beast of two backs is all about. Okay, you all know where we need to go. Excuse me. So, as I was saying, Equinox is... It's like Equinox could technically count as two, if not three, Warframes in one. And the first ability that you get right out of the box, Metamorphosis, not only do you get a buff based on which form you're transitioning to, but it it switches up your form. It's like it switches up which form you're in, which also changes what slate of abilities you have going beyond this. So this form right here, that's in all black, that's the night form, obviously. And white is her day form. And again, when constructing this Warframe, you have to build a full Warframe's worth for each of them. Now, as far as Equinox's, excuse me, as far as Equinox's passive ability, it's one of those that can actually be demonstrated during a live fire mission, but it revolves around what happens when you pick up Health Orbs or Energy Orbs. You pick up a Health Orb, and 10% of what you get from that orb will actually be transferred to its energy pool, and vice versa. Pick up an energy orb, and 10% of that is transferred to its health. So you pick up one type of orb, and you're replenishing to some degree both resources. It's useful in that you're spending less time trying to pick up recovery items, and you're still actually getting the recovery that you need. But anyway, kind of out of order, but we've already got the passive. We've got the first ability, which I guess could technically count as a passive in and of itself, really. And active passive. Anyway, enough about that. Once you hit rank 3, though, that's when things start getting interesting. Because at rank 3, you get the ability called Rest and Rage. Now, when you cast it in the day form, what basically winds up happening is that you're making your targets become more vulnerable to any types of damage. Sure, the gunblade I'm using ain't doing that much, but you'll notice the damage numbers are slowly starting to increase with each successive attack after you cast Rage. Let's switch it over to Night form, and then cast the ability. Then what you're casting is Rest. You're putting enemies to sleep. This is an incredibly handy ability, especially if you've got a good amount of duration on it. Because then, no matter what you're looking at, no matter what position you attack enemies from, if they're asleep, then you can go for stealth attacks. And you see the lines coming down from each enemy that's been put to sleep? If you basically, whatever damage that you do to that particular enemy while they're asleep gets translated over to any tethered enemies alongside them. So you got the whole group put together, put to sleep. I was about to say, now, if I actually hit the right enemy, then everything else that was hooked up to it you see, they start taking damage and taking the knockdown as well. So, that's Rest and Rage in a nutshell. Now, once you get Equinox up to rank 5, then you get the ability Pacify and Provoke. Now, with Pacify and Provoke, what that basically winds up doing is, in Night form, of course, you get damage reduction up to half the damage. So, like, if you've got this ability maxed out and you cast it in Night mode, then that's going to buff your survivability. But you cast Pacify and Provoke in the day form, and then what you wind up getting is an increase to your ability strength. Riona, good to see you. Actually, that reminds me. Give me a moment. Because I need to make sure. Okay. Closed captions are up and on, right? Okay, so we've covered the first 3 abilities thus far, and oh, one thing I forgot to mention about Pacify and Provoke is that it will constantly drain energy, so you got to be careful on that. And now for Equinox's 4th ability, once you get her to rank 10. Mend and Maim. Cast it in day form, of course, and, within this field, you'll see that the enemy is being constantly damaged. Cast it one more time to dispel the effect, and the damage, and that's an extra burst of damage. cast it in night form, and for every single enemy that you kill, you'll wind up building up a charge, which will eventually... There, you see that second icon with the 47.1k? That right there is how much shield and health you'll be getting back once you dispel the ability. But, you know, since I'm already at my maximum and already at maximum overshields, you know, it only gave me that certain amount. But here's the thing. That boost that you get to your health and your shields applies to your entire team. So you can either do wide-reaching damage or wide-reaching support. As I'm sure you could probably imagine, even though it's a good idea to constantly switch between both the day and night forms of Equinox in order to keep the transition bonus going, I tend to stick with the night form more. Largely because, well, if I can put a wide range of enemies to sleep and then just drop them with stealth kills, needless to say, that'll make a lot of operations a lot easier. Also, Blue, good to see you as well. Don't worry, I did not miss you. So, that right there was, I guess, the basics of Equinox's abilities. What are you doing over there, man? What are you doing? Oh, I'm doing okay. You know, after everything I had to deal with yesterday with the AC unit, I'm just, well, I could go on a rant about my time here at this new apartment and how things just haven't been working out, but that's neither here nor there. Well, that's a conversation for another time. Actually, that's what I was gonna do. So yeah, just as with... Ooh, excuse me. Just as with all the other Warframes that we've done,
Operator, please return covered in blood. Safe and sound.
we're gonna pop into a mission completely without mods. You know, base stats, or at least, you know, base stats once you've got the Warframe ranked up to level 30. And we'll take a quick look at just what Equinox could do mid-mission. Now, last night was actually the first time I had played Equinox in a long time. I mean, like, after I built Equinox Prime, used it for maybe like a couple days just to get used to it, and then dipped out.
You must provide cover for a lone Tenno operative. Set off the alarms and keep the infested busy.
Oh no. Okay, let's try this again. How's the closed captioner doing? Oh my goodness. I had been talking this whole time, and I thought I had the closed caption. No, 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 no. It's no trouble at all. I thought I had the closed caption, like I had it turned on, but it defaulted to a different microphone for some stupid reason. But anyway, as for what I was mentioning earlier, just a lot of issues with the air conditioning at my place after yesterday, so it's just one of those things where I'm just kind of done with this place. Like I'm already thinking ahead as far as like where I want to be next year when this lease is up. But in any event, let's get down to the mission. So, just to recap, for anyone that actually wants to pick up Equinox, especially new players that see Equinox and want to give her a shot, I would highly recommend trying to get Equinox Prime. Because with this Warframe, you're literally building three suits. You're literally building for three suits. So if you're trying to build Equinox and you're not building all the pieces at the same time, then at the most you're looking at 15 days worth of real-time waiting. But if you're building all the components all at once, then let's see, that's 12 hours and then another 3, 6. So bare minimum 6.5 days. It's better to just pick up Equinox Prime.
A steady stream of toxic spores is being released into the air. Hold on. Emergency life support is inbound.
Alright, so here we go. Ability recap. Right out of the box, you get Metamorphosis. When you switch forms, you get a boost to your you get a boost to your ability strength, and you get a boost to your damage reduction. You know, it's minor, but that's what still comes into play. The second ability you get is Rest and Rage. You cast Rest, you put enemies to sleep. Leaves them open for stealth kills, and if you use your stealth kill on the right enemy,
For life support.
then any enemies tethered to it will take that damage as well. In day form, when you cast that same ability, it makes nearby enemies more susceptible to damage.
Look for personal support modules dropped by fallen enemies. I've delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more time.
Yeah. Now, third ability, Pacify and Provoke. Cast it dayside, and it increases your, and it's a further boost to your ability strength. Cast it nightside, and you get damage reduction up to 50%. So basically, you're bolstering yours and your team's firepower or defenses, depending on which form you're casting the ability in.
30-second warning.
Now, again, you got to keep in mind that these abilities are. It's like you got to keep in mind that the Pacify and Provoke is a sustained ability, so it's going to keep draining your energy the longer it's up.
Life support activated.
Let me go.
Additional life support has arrived.
Let me go ahead and get another one of these beacons real quick.
Life support has been replenished.
All right. Fourth ability, once you get her to rank 10, is Mend and Maim. Now, Mend and Maim is a pretty solid ability, especially if you cast it Nightside. Because Nightside, when you get Mend, for every enemy you kill, it restores and grants you additional shields. When the ability is dispelled, or when you run out of energy and it toggles off, then what basically happens is that you get health restoration to boot.
On the way.
Now, when you cast the ability Dayside, and when you get Maim, then
Life support
it'll basically generate a far-reaching field that does minor but constant slash damage on any enemies caught in it. So,
I've delivered. Life support capsule.
Dayside's good for crowd control and good for, temporarily stunning enemies while you're trying to set up your next play.
Life support
Yeah, constant bleed field.
The raid is off to a successful start. When you are ready, go to extraction.
And again, depending on how you mod Equinox, you can actually build for either Dayside or Nightside being more effective.
Life support incoming.
Personal preference on my end, though, especially after, sitting down and using her last night. Personal preference on my end is to just stick with Nightside Equinox. Because again, if I stick to Nightside
Another life support
and then
capsule.
I cast Rest and Rage, followed by Mend and Maim, then I can kill enemies that much faster to beef up my shields, beef up my health regen, and keep myself in the fight almost constantly. Whew. Sorry, even now I'm still having to deal with a lot of stuff in the background. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up for you guys a quick mod setup that I put together last night while I was testing out Equinox, or knocking off the rust. Now, I'm not too worried about my power strength because again, you know, I've got ways to beef that up. But I want to make sure that my abilities are as cheap as possible to cast. I want them to last as long as possible, and I want them to have as wide a range as possible.
I thought you'd want to know. Operator, you have remembered well how the Tenno arm themselves.
This is definitely a Warframe where the punching power, like the kind of punching power that you want, actually comes from how long you can keep your abilities up. Ooh. Excuse me. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to go ahead and jump into a level, a pretty high level exterminate mission. High level relic mission, mind you. And just give you a bit more of an idea of even what even a rookie level mod setup like mine can actually do with the kind of kit that Equinox has. Now, again, this is more just my playstyle, so I'll be sticking to the night mode a lot more. Okay,
All corpus threats.
93 enemies, high level.
You need them to open a relic. Are you confident you can withstand their fury? A fissure. Defend yourself and use reactant to open relics.
Go to sleep.
Let's go on the offensive.
The enemies are dropping reactant. You are going to need more reactant if you want to open that relic.
Okay, so what I should probably do is go ahead and cast Mend. And then let me get down here and start putting people to sleep. There we go. Shield's already restored. All y'all, go to sleep. And then dispel, and we got everything back. So yeah, with that, we got ourselves a good, we've got ourselves a good solid loop. I'd go through and complete the rest of the mission, but I think we've pretty much established right here what Equinox can do. So, with that being said, I know this is going to be a little bit shorter compared to the others, but I'm going to go ahead and bring this rookie level stream down for the morning. I appreciate you guys coming out and hanging with me for this little bit. I will make sure to come back later with more streams, probably more broadcasting from the PS4. But on that note, hope you all have yourselves a top-notch Wednesday. And until then, stay good, neighborhood. Well, think, thinking I might have a little more time, so let's go ahead and finish this mission, shall we? Oops.
That's it. You opened the relic. Finish your mission and we'll take a look inside.
No. Shush. Go to sleep. There we go. He's got to go. And you got to go. Okay, let's get myself off of everyone's radar for a moment. Oh, I gotta go down this way. Go away, little roaches. There we go. wasn't quite everyone from the look of it. Alright. Time to go on offense. Okay, let's not get stuck on the edge of the stage now. Oh boy. Alright, one more. Oh. And one.
Have broken their ranks
Oh,
and they are
there we
on
go.
the run. Another successful mission. Find extraction.
And with that, it's time to bug out. Literally gonna be done after this mission. Okay, sorry about that. Alright, everybody. Now we're going to go ahead and call it. Thanks again for hanging out. I will hopefully see you guys on the next one. Till then, have a good one.